Welcome back to Daily Visa News. Today, we turn our attention to a report that has gripped the migrant community, stirred parliamentary debate, and placed thousands of families in an anxious wait for answers. The issue at hand? The government's proposed decision to extend the qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain commonly known as ILR from 5 years to 10. For many, this is not simply a technical change in policy. It is a matter that cuts at the very foundation of trust between migrants and the state, a matter that raises deep questions about fairness, economic necessity, and Britain's relationship with those who have come here to live, to work, and to build futures. On Monday, 8 September 2025, members of Parliament gathered within the historic walls of Westminster to debate this issue, responding to two highly significant public petitions. Both petitions together carried more than 250,000 signatures and an unmistakable signal of public concern. In this video, we are going to unpack what happened in that debate, what the government's official position is, and most importantly, what it all means for the thousands currently navigating their immigration journey. First, let us set the scene. Indefinite leave to remain is the holy grail for many migrants living in the UK. It represents stability. It means no more costly visa extensions, no more renewal fees, no more restrictions on work or access to certain services. It allows families to plan long-term, and for many, it is the stepping stone to British citizenship. Until now, skilled workers and many others coming to the UK have worked on the understanding that once they had lived here for 5 years under the appropriate visa, they would be able to apply for ILR, assuming they met the necessary requirements around work, language, and good character. But earlier this year, in its Immigration White Paper of May 2025, the government signalled a shift. Settlement, the paper argued, is not to be seen as a righter, but as a privilege to be earned over a longer period of time. And so came the proposal to double the qualifying period, requiring 10 years of residency before settlement could be granted. The debate was formally triggered by two petitions. The first, signed by more than 162,000 people, called for the government to keep the 5-year ILR pathway for existing skilled worker visa holders. This is a group that includes our doctors, nurses, engineers, teachers, and tech professionals. They came to Britain under one contract, one set of rules, and now face the unsettling reality that the finish line might be moved halfway through their race. Petitioners argue that these are precisely the workers the UK cannot afford to lose. They pay taxes, they fill vital shortages, they support the NHS, they power innovation. To change their terms midway is not just poor policy, it is, in the words of some MPs, like asking someone to run a marathon, only to tell them at mile 20 that they must now run double the distance. The second, petition garnering over 108,000 signatures, focused on Hong Kong British National Overseas Visa holders, also known as BNOs. This category was created after the erosion of freedoms in Hong Kong, granting residents a safe route to Britain. Many moved to the UK with hope, bringing their skills, their savings, and their families. For them, delaying ILR by another 5 years has particularly stark consequences. Estimates suggest there are billions of pounds locked up in Hong Kong pension funds that can only be released once ILR is granted. The difference between a 5-year wait and a 10-year wait is not abstract. It is the difference between financial security and prolonged hardship. Together, these petitions presented both a moral argument and a practical one. On one hand, the sanctity of promises made to migrants. On the other, the tangible risks of deterring skilled workers in a time when Britain needs them most. The debate itself was opened by Ben Goldsborough, MP and member of the Petitions Committee. From the outset, he stressed the need for seriousness, compassion, and consideration. Migration, he reminded the Chamber, is not about numbers, but about human beings, people who contribute to the economy, pay taxes, and even shoulder costs, like the immigration health surcharge, often without immediate access to certain benefits. Representing the government was Alex Norris, Minister for Immigration. His remarks were received with both interest and frustration. On the one hand, he acknowledged the anxiety felt by skilled workers and BNO holders. He promised that any policy decisions would be undertaken with dignity and respect for those affected. On the other, he made clear that no immediate policy change would follow the debate. Key points from the minister included no withdrawal of the proposal yet. The government remains committed to the idea of earned settlement, with settlement regarded as a privilege to be secured after a decade of contribution. Consultation will take place. Formal consultations will be held before a final decision is announced, and petition submissions will be taken into account. However, no timetable was provided. Special consideration for Hong Kongers. While reiterating Britain's moral duty to the Hong Kong community, the minister stopped short of guaranteeing the 5-year route for BNOs. More details, he said, would emerge in due course. Impact assessments pending. The government has not yet published studies on the economic or equality impacts of this shift. Those will come once proposals are finalised. Put simply, the minister offered recognition that no reversal. For many watching, this outcome was met with disappointment. Despite the passionate debate and the scale of the petitions, the official stance is unchanged. Consultation first, decisions later. So where does this leave skilled workers and their families today? Firstly, and crucially, the current 5-year route remains in place. Nothing has yet been formally changed. Secondly, consultation will be the battleground. This process will allow individuals, charities, businesses, and communities to submit their evidence and arguments. For many, this will be the only chance to directly influence the final decision. Thirdly, unanswered questions remain, especially whether changes, if made, would apply retrospectively. That single point represents the sharpest edge of current anxiety. To migrate under one rule and then discover it no longer protects you is the very heart of the fairness debate. In short, the future remains undecided, but tension is high and clarity is urgently needed. Beyond the legal details and parliamentary processes, this debate speaks to something larger. What kind of country does Britain want to be? Is it a nation that honours agreements, standing firm by the promises it makes? Or is it prepared to shift the ground midway, even at the cost of trust from its migrant communities? It also raises the question of strategy. With global skills shortages, Britain competes directly with other developed nations for talent. Singapore, Canada, and Germany all court the same professionals the UK hopes to retain. Can Britain afford to make itself less attractive? It is also about morality. For BNO holders, this policy intertwines with a deeper history, the UK's relationship with Hong Kong, and the promises made at the time of its handover. For them, trust is not just a legal point, it is a matter of historical accountability. If you are personally affected, the coming months are vital. Engage with the consultation process when it opens. Share your testimony, outline your contributions, and make clear what prolonged uncertainty would mean for your family. If you are an employer, professional body, or educational institution, your voice carries weight. Workforce shortages and economic contributions will be key in shaping the policy argument. And for all of us, staying informed is essential. The petitions showed that when people unite, their concerns are heard at the highest level of government. It is the next stage consultation, and beyond that will determine whether words will translate into action. Thank you for being with us on Daily Visa News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Daily Visa News for the latest update.